Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for another edition of Let's Talk Chelsea. I hope you're all doing well and keeping safe. Today we're going to be talking about Antonio Rudiger and his future at Chelsea, and also I'm going to be posing a question about Jadon Sancho. But before we get into any of that, if you haven't already, I want to ask you to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss and upload daily videos about Chelsea FC on this channel. And also hit that like button if you're enjoying the content, because it helps out the videos as well. But let's start with Antonio Rudiger. Sky Sports posted an article last night stating that Chelsea had opened contract talks with the defender. The Blues want the German defender to sign a 3-year deal that also includes the option of a further year. An agreement is not close and discussions have been somewhat interrupted by the postponement of the season. Nevertheless, Chelsea have been impressed with Rudiger's performances since returning from a groin injury in December and want to tie him down to at least 2023. The 27-year-old, whose current deal expires in 2022, is emerging as one of Europe's top centre-backs and is especially highly rated in his home country, with both Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund among his admirers. Now, when this report came out, there was a lot of negative reaction over Rüdiger, because there's people that believe that Rüdiger should be sold by Chelsea this summer. They believe that he's one of our most error-prone centre-backs, a centre-back you can't rely on, and there is fears whether, considering his age and development, will he get any better at Chelsea, and we should be investing in a younger, better centre-back. I don't sit in that camp, because I want Antonio Rudiger to stay, because he is one of my favourite players at Chelsea. You know, that I do have a bias over Rüdiger. Pretty much since he arrived at Chelsea, I was a fan of his. I think his not only his character, but the attributes he brought to Chelsea's defence. I mean, take away this season, I think he's been Chelsea's best centre-back in the previous 2 seasons. I will contest that with anyone. I think what he brought not only to Conte's season, which was a difficult season, I thought he was one of the most consistent performers that year in what was a difficult season. And under Sarri, I thought he went a step further, really. With him and Luiz, I thought they created quite a good partnership, and I thought he was the best defender there. We've had people like Jamie Carragher calling Rüdiger one of our best centre-backs, which, you know, is not just my personal bias towards Rüdiger and favouritism towards him. That's also Jamie Carragher, who's not a Chelsea fan and was a centre-back, one of the top centre-backs himself. I think his, you know, attributes within his game of good tackling. At his best, he can really anticipate good tackles, be in the right place at the right time. His pace as well, I think, is something you need in the top of the game. And I think there were certain times in games, I remember against Salah, who he used to play with at Roma, who he really shut down Salah in certain games, and I thought that really impressed me about Rüdiger. So I thought his performances last year, really for me, I thought he was going to step it up again when he came back to Chelsea's defence this season. But unfortunately, because of the uncertainty around Chelsea this season, especially in defence, conceding a lot of goals, that area constantly being changed, I think you have to be fair to Rüdiger and allow the fact that he has come back from an injury. You know, we say similar with Callum Hudson-ODOI and players like that, and we'll say similar with Ruben Loftus-CHEEK. You know, he was out for a long period of time, considering, you know, the amount of game time he'd had previously. So you have to understand, you know, injuries and fitness problems that would have disrupted his season majorly, really. And it wasn't just, you know, one injury. He came back in September and re-injured again, and it took him a long time to get back into fitness. So you have to give that. And you have to admit, before the Premier League was suspended, he and Kurt Zouma had formed a pretty good partnership, and both them two had kept 2 clean sheets, which is something that's a rarity this season for Chelsea. And I thought both of them were working together quite well. It's interesting with this that it's not only about Rüdiger and him being a first-team player with this new contract and being a key figure at Chelsea still moving forward. It's about a smart business from Chelsea. You know, Marina probably thinking that if Rüdiger was to sign that new contract and we sell him before the expiry of that new contract, you can get a big fee for him. That is something that Chelsea are brilliant at doing. They're brilliant at negotiating big fees. Look at Morata, 16 million for a player who was pretty much phased out last season under Sarri, was sent on loan, and to get that big fee for him is really impressive. So that's something Chelsea do really well. So it's not just about probably Rüdiger being a first team player, it's also knowing to get the right fee for him if he was to be sold and Lampard didn't want him in his team and his plans moving forward in a couple of years. What's going to happen with signing a centre-back? There's many people believe Chelsea will be signing a centre-back, so you do have to take this Sky report with a pinch of salt, really. As Simon Phillips said on Twitter, a great account you should follow. We do know Sky aren't as reliable as they used to be. You remember the whole fiasco in January with the mystery centre-back that Chelsea were apparently going to sign? Nothing came of that. You know, considering the way Sky present themselves as quite reliable, that really was a moment where you started to doubt their sources and what they were bringing out in terms of transfer news. So they aren't as reliable, so don't take this as gospel, of course, as I would say with any transfer news, until it's of course confirmed by the club itself. And what will happen with signing a new centre-back? You know, Gabriel Magalhaes was talked about a few weeks ago. That's really gone dead in terms of that. And will Chelsea be focusing on another centre-back? We've got Ethan Ampadu returning in the summer from loan. What will happen to the rest of the centre-backs? Andreas Christensen, Kurt Zuma, Fikayo Tomori. Will any of those be sold or leave on loan? We don't know. You know, I would contest that I don't think any of our centre-backs is terrible. I don't think you can label them terrible. I think all of them have got good attributes, and I think it's a fair point to say, as others have, that they are all sort of secondary centre-backs. They need a more dominant centre-back next to them probably, that hopefully Chelsea can recruit. Now, of course, Koulibaly's been talked about for years, but has that boat sailed? You know, look at his age. You know, would he still be a really good defender for Chelsea, especially considering the fee Chelsea would have to pay to bring him in? Is there another centre-back? Could that be a Magalhaes who could potentially develop into that player? Is there another one out there that we haven't thought of? All of those things, of course, and all those questions will have to be answered in time. How serious are Chelsea going to be about signing a centre-back with other positions a potential priority in the summer? We really don't know. But I want Rüdiger to stay. I still think Rüdiger can be a key component. And I think, as I'll say with any player currently within the Chelsea squad, you don't know what's going to happen with them. This season has proved more than any other, it's unpredictable. Players that you rule out suddenly get minutes and suddenly look really key figures within Lampard's side. We don't know what Lampard's best 11 is yet. We don't know what the squad's going to look like at the start of next season with the current pandemic and all of the shenanigans that have come around with that and all the uncertainty that's come with that. We don't know. So I would not rule out any player at the moment. And I personally, as a fan of Rüdiger, still feel he can be a big player for Chelsea in defence. So please let me know your opinions on Rüdiger in the comments below. Next, briefly, I just want to ask a question about Jadon Sancho to you guys that I want to debate. And it's, should Chelsea give up on signing Jadon Sancho this summer? It's a pretty extreme question, yes, because there's so much up in the air about Sancho and his destination. It's believed, sources I trust, that with the likes of Matt Law saying that, you know, it's not signed, sealed and delivered in terms of him going to Man United, even though some people are claiming that. It does look like United are more interested in him, and a lot of the stories coming out about United signing him this summer. Matt Law said United can afford him without Champions League football. Chelsea are very interested, but Champions League is a must for financial reasons, obviously because of the fee. I would say probably United lead the race at the moment. But my contention with Sancho is, and in my big transfer video that I made a few weeks ago, I would like to see Chelsea sign Jadon Sancho. Absolutely. What a big player he would be. A transformative player, a player that would send out a massive signal to the rest of the Premier League. But considering the amount of money it's going to take to bring Jadon Sancho to Stamford Bridge, I just wonder when we're talking about, and it's similar when I was talking about Coutinho yesterday, with other positions in the pitch that Chelsea need to strengthen, focus on maybe other players. You know, we know United are going to spend big. They've done this before. They will splash the cash when they need to, and they'll do it for ridiculous fees. Look at Alexis Sanchez a few years ago. It's a different situation, but another winger that they spent massive amounts of money on. They have a big hole at right wing. Chelsea do need to build in that area, but not as much. We have invested in it recently. Hakim Ziyech. We look at Christian Pulisic, a big contract for Callum Hudson-ODOI. Yes, both Pedro and Willian are expected to leave in the summer, but it's not as sort of essential signing a big player there, you know. And we've talked about the likes of Jeremy Boga, Leon Bailey, even Emi Buendia, I think from Norwich would be a really good shout, even though I'd say Ziyech is sort of that player in terms of being a creative winger. But there can be cheap alternatives out there that could potentially be better players for Chelsea and potentially fit Chelsea's system later down the line. I think United are going to go all out for Jadon Sancho. And I think with a lot of these big signings, and why I think, for instance, if we compare it to left back, why I think Chelsea will potentially go for Telles over Chilwell, is you spend all summer going after one player, and it may detract from other deals Chelsea want to get done. And then at the end of it, if we lose out to Sancho to United, I'd rather Chelsea focus on getting better players in other areas and really rounding off the squad. You know, United could spend a lot of money on Jadon Sancho, but then be left short in other areas that they need. Would that be something that United fans would want? You know, and that's something that Chelsea fans, I think, need to think about as well. Going after just one player when we need to sign more than one player in key areas, I think it's interesting, and I think it's interesting in terms of the recruitment and what you're prioritising in terms of the summer. I'd love to see Jadon Sancho at Chelsea. Who wouldn't want to see Jadon Sancho in their team? This feels like a player that's about to be or is already world-class, considering what your definition of world-class, because it's so flippant nowadays, people calling other players world-class. But this is a player that firmly is going to the top of European football and is going to be a key name this summer for sure. But I just wonder whether he is a key player that Chelsea need to sign. Is he top of that list? Can we get better players? Please let me know, because you guys do bring out targets in the comments that I haven't thought about. So I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Is this a player Chelsea should give up on if it is going to be difficult? And should we focus on other players that could potentially be better for Chelsea in the long run? So that is it for this week's edition of Let's Talk Chelsea. Let me know your opinions on everything I discussed in the comments below. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter @SonOfChelsea, and I'll see you again.